Hello, this is Anna Imagination. I'm looking up the 12 ethical the 12 stages of the Herculean trials, and I noticed the 11th one really attracted my attention. It is the apples of Hesperides, the garden of the Hesperides. And basically, he is charged to go get these apples. Now, according to legend, they are golden apples located in a garden to the far north. And he didn't know where Hercules didn't know where the apples were. So he, for whatever reason, why did he decide to go to Atlas? He decided to go to Atlas for help. So he held the earth on his shoulders while Atlas ran and got the apples. And then Atlas brought the apples back, and there was some tomfoolery where Hercules was going to get stuck holding the world forever, and while Atlas offered to go deliver the apples. But Hercules basically convinced Atlas to take the world for a minute, and he was able to shift it. So when he does this, he grabs the apples, he takes them to Eurystheus. I cannot pronounce this word. And then he has to take them back to the garden. And the garden is located at the northern edge of the world. It's a garden at the northern edge of the world. Golden apples, garden at the northern edge of the world. Those are Idun's apples. Idun was a goddess in Norse mythology who had golden apples that when the Greek or Norwegian, the Norse gods, wanted to preserve their youth, immortality, they had to eat of these golden apples. They were called Idun's apples. And Norway, they are located at the far northern edge of the world. And it's really fascinating to me to see how, for a moment, the Greeks venture off into the Norse mythology, interact with the Norse myth, carry these golden apples of Idun back into Greek mythology. And the Greek myths are like, oh, look, Norwegian apples of Idun. And then they carry them back. And it's fascinating to me. I actually was thinking about this, and I'm working on building the logo for the Healing Garden. It's been a very difficult task finding the right logo for the garden. I've been all over the place, which is like breaking rule number 1 of business is before you do anything, you have to create a brand, create a motto, and create a logo. I have done none of these things. I have decided that the universe will give these things to me when I am ready. And I have further decided that I am convinced that when I find my logo, my motto, and my brand, that the garden will just take off. And I believe that this is the reason why I've been like, it wasn't ready to take off. So it was like a whole, I'm not giving this information to you. You got to build the garden for, fine, I'm building the garden. So I built the Healing Garden. And then I get to this moment, and it didn't even occur to me, what the fuck am I doing? The garden at the northernmost edge of the world, Idun's apples, the Garden of Eden. This is not rocket science. It is the tree of knowledge. And it was about 3 days ago when I was designing my logo, and I definitely see a triangle, and I'm like, but it's not just a triangle. What it is a golden apple. I saw a golden apple. And it was about 2-3 nights ago, and I finally saw the golden apple as being, it's been very, very hard. It finally just came to me. And I also had, in addition to the golden apple, I also saw the motto, imagine the impossible. That is the motto. It is the golden apple, Idun's apple, with imagine the impossible. That's it. There it is. It's only taken me like 2 years to put that together. And so I'm getting ready now to build my logo. And Idun's apples has a lot of sentimental value for me. Like my entire Dollar and Shadow fantasy series literally revolves around Idun's apples and how my main character has Idun's apples She has them in a pouch that permanently produces these immortal, very powerful apples. And she goes on this massive adventure while people are seeking her pouch because of what her pouch can do. And there's a whole backstory between the pouch and the apples. It's insane. And it never dawned on me that the whole thing revolves around education. And it's funny because over in Alexandria, I have a lighthouse. That is 100%. The lighthouse is my logo for Alexandria. But for the garden, I realized it has to be a golden apple for Idun's apples. And it's like this beautiful, I suddenly could see it. And it's like, oh, well, there it is. And it was just this wonderful how it all just came together. It was just so at peace. Everything just clicked. And it's been a very long time since I've studied Greek mythology. I've studied Norse and Celtic myth. And honestly, when I got to the Norse myths, I looked at the Greek myths and went, wow, those are really like PG. There's no other way to put it. Like I first started off in ancient and Grecian myth, and I was like, wow, I loved them. I loved them so much. And then I stepped into the world of the Norse myth, and it was like Greek myth on steroids. And I'm like, wow, these people are serious about their stories and their shit. And then I got into Celtic myth, and that's really on some stuff. And I went, these are my people. These are my people. And I've never been able to really get back into Greek mythology because now it's like, aren't you cute? And that's just it. Now the Greek and the Roman myths are like, isn't that nice? It's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And you got Game of Thrones. That's what Norse mythology is. It's like Game of Thrones. My dear friend called me up the other day and she's like, I need help. I need help on my book, on my metallurgy. I need some backstory. I said, all right, I'm going to give you some power words. And I tossed her about 6 different words. I said, all right, there's the break. Now, you're going to go through, reading me each word, and I'm going to give you a little summation of each story, and you're going to tell me if you want more detail on any of these. She did. And I rattled off each story. And there's one of them that I gave her was Loki. And I'm trying to inspire her to think up stories for her book. And I went, here's one option, Loki. We get to Loki. And she's like, all right, Loki, right. This is based off of the actual Norse myth. So Loki was fucking around on, let's throw things at Balder Day. And this is how he ended up killing Balder, by throwing either mistletoe at Balder, or he fired something at Balder and it killed him. And then mistletoe refused to cry. And Odin was so completely broken by the death of his son Balder that he decided the best way to punish Loki would be first to kill Loki's sons. So he takes Loki's 3 sons and he kills them. But that's not good enough. No. Then he takes the remnants. This is an actual Old Norse tradition, was you take the remnants, the bones of his son, and he forges these chains with the bones of his son. And then that's not good enough. No, he takes him and he ties him to the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree, and he wraps the chains around him. And he chains Loki to the roots of Yggdrasil with the chains forged from the blood of his sons. Yep, that's Norse mythology. Yep, that's Norse mythology. And I said this to her and she went, wow, that's dark. And I went, that's Norse mythology. Makes you look back at Greek mythology now, doesn't it? And go, isn't that nice? It's like a whole nother thing, because there's Greek mythology being all like, oh, look at all the flowers. But over here in Norse mythology, we get shit done. Like, Norse mythology is fucking dark. So I never went back to Greek mythology after that. I was just like, no, Norse mythology just ruined me for Greek mythology, because this is badass shit over here. The Norse know how to get shit done. And then I ventured off into the world of the Celtic myth. And that's some weird shit, I tell you. I'm like, all right, things just got really fucking weird. So I love the weirdness of Celtic myth and the darkness of Norse myth. And that just ruined me. Between the weird and the dark, I'm just like, all right, things are dark and weird up here. That's just it. Things are dark and weird. So then I got dark and weird merging into my brain. And I look back down over at Greece and I'm like, you're so cute. You're so cute. Look at your little miss. And it's because things up north are just dark and weird. And I've never been able to recover from Celtic and Norse mythology. So if you love Greek mythology, the moral of the story is don't read Norse mythology. It'll ruin you because the dark and the weird. That is the moral of my lesson. That's all I've got to say about that. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.